In this way, the Dodgers' offense was completely paralyzed as planned. What was even more disruptive was the pitching of opposing starter Cortez. Making full use of his variable home and off-base pitches, he held the Dodgers' batting line to a perfect 1 in the 6th inning. It was a humiliating game in which 16 consecutive batters were out before Rojas finally hit a single to right field. The fact that the Padres were only allowed a handful of runs throughout the game clearly shows that the strategy and execution of the team were responsible for Roberts' defeat. The results of the day were not just one-sided. Manager Roberts' rigid line composition was completely used as a strategy map by the opponent. The serious issues of the rigidity and predictability of defeats were highlighted behind the Dodgers' loss of important moments in the battle for control. In the post-game press conference, manager Dave Roberts gave a harsh speech to the team, which could be considered a consolation prize. The official first expressed his dissatisfaction with the team's lack of tenacity and desire to win, and said that these lacks were particularly evident in the direct confrontation with the Padres. Despite the fierce battle with their rivals, the Dodgers' batting lineup was notable for its lack of investment in play. Sakazaki was also directed at Shohei Ohtani. In the matchup against Coltist, he was mediocre in all 3 at-bats, resulting in flyouts and strikeouts. He then brought up the fact that his consecutive on-base record was 19 games, which the manager picked up as a symbolic moment. Roberts criticized star players, including Ohtani, for aiming too much for home runs, and stressed that what was needed was an attitude of increasing contact and putting pressure on opposing players. Furthermore, at the press conference, he gave a superb consolation speech, spending over 2 minutes on a single question. He emphasized that this was not a matter of talent. What was important was not a beautiful swing, but simply getting on base, creating innings, and scoring runs. Finally, he said that instead of always thinking about long hits, they should hold the bat short and carry the ball tactically, urging the entire team to change their mindset. Roberts' words were a powerful message that went beyond mere criticism. His frustration and sense of crisis completely changed the atmosphere at the press conference, and reporters were surprised that the manager would go this far as a consolation prize. The Dodgers' only run came from the bat of 24-year-old rookie Alex Freeland. He came in as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning and smashed his 2,000th consecutive home run into the right field stands, getting 1 out. However, after the game, he attracted attention in an unexpected way. Freeland, who was interviewed by a sports channel, offered a consolation rebuttal to manager Roberts' remarks. "I respect the manager, but I cannot approve of the way he criticizes Shohei Ohtani. If it weren't for Ohtani, we wouldn't have been able to compete for the rankings this far," he emphasized, firmly defending Ohtani's contributions this season. He then continued with words befitting a rookie. "I'm still an inexperienced player, but even so, I understand something. We shouldn't put all the responsibility for the loss on one person. I happened to hit a home run today, but that doesn't determine whether the team wins or loses, and above all, it's not a reason to deny Ohtani's efforts." Freeland also addressed the mood within the team. "To be honest, the criticism made the locker room sour. What's needed now is unity, not blame. We young players should be sharing the burden alongside Ohtani and Freeman. That's why I can't agree with the words that blame him." Miguel Rojas was the man who threw the team's first underhand home run that day, ending the humiliation of a no-hitter. He finally ignited the Dodgers lineup with a clean hit to right field in the 6th inning. But after the game, what came out of his mouth was a complaint to manager Roberts. If there's one player the Padres are extremely wary of, it's definitely Shohei Ohtani. He's a feared figure, and it's unreasonable to blame him, Rojas asserted. Ohtani's suspicious behavior, he insisted, isn't due to a lack of individual effort, but rather evidence that the opponent has thoroughly focused their strategy. Rojas also pointed out that the Dodgers lineup itself has a problem. Our lineup is too simple, and it's like an easy book for the opponent to read. I have always been hesitant about changing the roster. If you put Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts in the same lineup, the opposing pitcher can just focus all their attention on them. Today's results are proof of that. In fact, Cortes pitched almost perfectly until the 6th inning, showing almost no openings except for one from Rojas. Immediately after that, both Kennedy and Ohtani were mediocre and couldn't get the momentum going. This isn't a problem with the players' feelings. It's a problem with tactics and preparation. Rojas emphasized that what a manager should criticize is not the individual but the way the team plays as a whole. These words, spoken from the perspective of a regular player, caused a huge stir both inside and outside the team. Rojas's argument that the way the team was defeated, rather than placing the blame on a single star, should be questioned cut through the bitter atmosphere immediately after the game. After the Los Angeles Dodgers lost to the Padres and slipped from the top spot, the legends he had trained in the American Baseball Association one after another turned their attention to manager Roberts' failure. The main criticism was that while they had a lineup of flashy stars like Ohtani, Freeman, and Betts, they ended up with a lineup that was too easy to read. First, MLB Network's Pedro Martinez said it was even better. Putting Ohtani, Freeman, and Letts at the top looks powerful. But for the opponent, it's simple. The Padres gained a huge psychological advantage the moment they struck out Ohtani in the first at-bat. Despite this, Roberts said they didn't change the lineup, and he said it was as if they were giving the opponent the script. David Ortiz of Hawks Sports also pointed out the lack of imagination. Ohtani's hit in the 4th inning was powerful, but it was right there in front of Tess Jr. in right field. The batting line remained silent after that, and there was no sign of any correction after the ragged out. He said that you can't win by relying solely on home runs, emphasizing the lack of creativity in the way they execute the game. Meanwhile, ESPN's Alex Rodriguez made his position clear in defense of Ohtani. Shohei shouldn't be blamed. He was held down by Cortes today, but that could happen to anyone. The problem was that Roberts didn't create a situation that was in his favor. After Rojas' single, he should have changed the batting order or attempted a hit and run. By failing to do so, Ohtani became a constant target for the opposing team's concentrated attacks. This was a tactical failure, not the player's fault, he said in the 5th inning. Furthermore, the Dodgers, who were also harshly criticized by Hawks commentator John Smoltz, were held perfect through the 6th inning. Hitters can sometimes get into a groove. However, it was disastrous for the manager to break the rules and not change his tactics. Ohtani wasn't contained because he had expressed his will to fight. He said it was because Roberts' strategy was completely read. Immediately after the Dodgers fell to Division II, the atmosphere in the front office changed completely. The team's leadership, especially the ownership, is taking this situation extremely seriously. According to multiple sources, a strong message was conveyed to manager Dave Roberts immediately after the game that things couldn't continue like this. Repeatedly losing games with horrible results is not what we aim for. The words that the owner is said to have uttered were more than just a blunder, they sounded like a warning. Roberts has been consistently performing well for many years, but trust in his leading man has begun to waver. In fact, there are reports that the 4 words, "replace manager," have begun to be discussed behind the scenes within the front office. Falling from the top spot at this time, as the season draws to a close, will be a major blow not only to the team's image but also to the club's management. Failure to win while using a star player who is paid a high annual